Russ, can you start with Josiah Williams, if he is available to play against the Tribe?
He's been practicing. He just hasn't caught a ball yet or blocked anybody. It's coming around pretty good. We'll know Friday. He'll either get the go-ahead, he can go, or not go. So we'll know Friday.
Could you talk about the level of excitement of you, your staff, and your team? Here we are in mid-November playing a highly meaningful game.
They're probably about the same as they've been every week this year. Went out there on Tuesday and didn't look much different. Kind of go about their business every week, and in our minds, every game's a big game. Now, with that being said, it's William and Mary, and it's a big rival, and it's for the Capital Cup, so they know that, and we've talked about that. But they're all big, and we treat them all the same way.
And your first impression when you watch William and Mary, I'm sure you watch William and Mary's offense primarily. The running game jump out at you?
Yeah, I mean, they're really good running the football. They have some excellent running backs. Their offensive line's doing a great job. Quarterback's a dangerous player. He can, he's getting yards too, whether it's just getting out on the edge, scrambling, any kind of option plays. Yeah, I mean, they're running the football at a high level.
Is there still a part of you, given your background, that looks at the uniforms or anything else and says, I was there a long time? In coaching terms, you were there a long time.
Not really.
Long enough now that it doesn't really hit you?
Yeah, I mean, I knew. Obviously that was my first job, so it brings back a lot of good memories.
Met your wife there?
Met my wife there. Yeah, I mean, it was a great 13 years I had, but I'm glad I'm here.
Thank you.
Do you stay in touch with Coach Laycock at all?
Mm-hmm.
You do?
Yeah.
Talk football?
No, we normally talk golf.
Jimmy does that with everybody.
Yeah.
Heading into this game, you probably haven't looked at William and Mary up until this week, but it seems like they are playing with a similar type of efficiency, maybe even more so than you guys are. Do you see that where that not too many mistakes? They know exactly what they're going to do. There are no wasted movements. They just go out and do what they know they can do. And if so, does that make them any easier to prepare for?
I mean, obviously they've had a great season. They're probably very similar to us. I mean, they lost a tough one to Elon. We lost a tough one to Elon. They won a close one at Delaware. We won a close one at Delaware. I think these teams are very evenly matched. Whether they're ranked 7th in 9-1 makes no difference. I believe we got an excellent football team that can compete with anybody. So our guys won't take a back seat to anybody we play, but they're good. There's no question about that. But and we've seen them. You really study them when the week you play them, but you see them. You got the film all the time. So if you're looking at somebody else, you see them. But I mean, they do a great job running the football and play action pass and taking shots. And we'd have to have the ability to get off of blocks and get those guys on the ground. And our offense needs to be efficient again and get first downs and do those types of things. But I mean, two evenly matched teams, I don't think there's a question about that.
How beneficial is it that you guys have found different ways to win and won multiple close games this year?
Yeah, it's been it's kind of been a blur. Excuse me. We lose the Elon game, and that was a tough one. And then we had a bye week, but we had a lot of opportunities to win that game and didn't get it done. So we knew we had to get on a run. We talked about it, said we were going to get on a run, and I guess that's 5 in a row. We got on a run.
Questions on Zoom?
Russ, how many shots aside does Jimmy give you?
He is so much better than me at golf. It's not even close. He's really good. I went down there this summer. We played a day, and he can still hit it. I mean, he hits it a long way, and he's way better player than me.
You mentioned on the CAA call the other day that you weren't really sure how many of these Capital Cup games you had been a part of, but your Crack Sports information staff figured it out. You're 20-3 in these games. Heck, Jimmy only won 23 of them total, and he was there for darn near 40 years. But does this compare to anything you experienced? Does this rivalry compare to anything you experienced in the Southern Conference in Chattanooga as a player or coach?
Yeah, we didn't really. When I was at Chattanooga, we really didn't have a rival. So yeah, I mean, this nothing compares to this rivalry that I've ever been involved with. Like I said, at Chattanooga, we really didn't have a rival. When we got there to Chattanooga, everybody wanted to play us because we weren't any good. And so it's hard to get rivalries when one of the teams is not real good. And, I mean, I thought I read that, like, this is 64-63 right now. That's a pretty good rivalry right there.
Kyle?
Coach, in terms of your familiarity with Mike, what's that process like in terms of game planning when you're kind of really familiar with the opposing head coach?
Well, Mike and I probably have the least amount to do with anything that happens on the football field. So we could be best friends and talk every day and probably couldn't figure each other out. So, he kind of is in the same boat as I'm in. I take a little bit more on special teams. I'm not sure if Mike does any special team stuff either, but our offensive coordinator and defensive coordinators have both taken this thing and run. I barely have any suggestions offensively or defensively. So, and again, I don't know. So, I'm not sure how Mike handles his staff, but I'm sure he probably gives them pretty free reign as to how they're going to run their offense and defense. So our familiarity it makes zero difference.
And then this is kind of piggybacking off the earlier question about the finding different ways to win. But when you have a game,
He went dead.
Lost you, Kyle.
Russ, you mentioned that you and Mike probably have the least amount to do with what transpires between the lines on Saturday. How long did it take you as a head coach to learn and to accept, to delegate, and not be so involved? Was that a process?
Yeah, it was a hard process, and I would say probably this year is really the first year that I've kind of really stepped away from too many suggestions in either one of those rooms, and it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. I mean, it's just a matter of knowing you got good coaches and trusting that they're gonna put a game plan together, and so the last couple years. Last year, I kind of took a little bit more of a role in special teams, and this year, a little bit more of a role. And so I kind of let those guys do their things. But yeah, it was a process. I mean, for the longest time, I was meddling in the defense day in, day out. Sat in that room quite a bit. And I'm not sure if I've really sat in the room defensively and watched film with them this year. We got Kyle
Kyle,
back.
you back? Kyle?
You got frozen up, Kyle.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Actually, kind of going off what David was asking a little bit with Billy in particular, what was kind of the process like in pinpointing him and bringing him on staff and kind of integrating him into the staff?
He fit in really well. He's a team player. Like he's a great guy. We kicked 5 field goals and scored 15 points against Delaware, and he texts Justin Wood apologizing for not doing better on offense to help us out. That's the kind of guy he is. Tremendous individual, team player, and Justin told me that, that's the kind of guy you want on your staff. I got a great staff, and these guys are doing a tremendous job with our football team. But that's just an example of somebody, wanting to do whatever they can to help, and he didn't feel like they played well enough on offense against Delaware, and he was apologizing to the other side of the ball. That's one of the first I think I've seen, but he's a great dude, and we're glad to have him.
Hey, Marlon, could you start by telling us what you see from William & Mary's run game and perhaps how Richmond intends to slow it up?
From their run game, we definitely see a lot of stretch. They run the stretch a lot, and obviously they're a predominantly run-heavy team. We've been looking at Elon's defense, and I believe just some other games on how they've been able to defend the run, and really we just have to be gap sound. We just have to be physical with them and get knocked back up front. So there's going to be a huge game within the front seven. So we're really just putting that on us and really just trying to be as disciplined as we can, play in and play out. And that's really when people get out of their gaps or not really disciplined on defense, that's when William & Mary is able to gash and get those big kind of runs.
Joe, you've been around here for several years, and I wonder how this team, this situation may feel a little different than past years, and why these Spiders have gotten to this point.
Yeah, no, sitting here in November, this is, in 5 years of being here, this is really the first time that we've played meaningful football games that that are going to determine our future, and that's been the biggest difference. And because of that, I feel like there's a lot more fire and passion that the team's playing with, and there's just a lot of trust on this team, trust in each other. The guy next to me is going to make a play, offense trusting the defense trusting the offense, and then even us trusting coaches, knowing they're going to put us in the best position. And because of that, I think that's been the biggest difference. That's put us from a team that's been on a 5-game losing streak, just kind of trying to get through the season, versus now sitting here at 8-2, playing for a pretty big, important game.
Hey, could I follow up by asking you about Elia and perhaps what he brings to the offensive line? And I don't know that he's missed a snap. If he did, I missed it. But he's played an awful lot of football this year for you guys.
Yes, sir. No, Tom has been great. He had some big shoes to fill for sure, coming in to replace Clayton McConnell, who's 4 or 5 year starter, all conference, and Tom's come in and hasn't really missed a beat. He's a really smart guy, real analytical. So he's really cautious of making the right decks, of making sure everyone's on the same page, flipping protections, and he's a physical player too. And like you said, he's been banged up here and there, but he's not going to come off the field. He's a big gritty guy. he's been definitely one of the anchors to our offensive line, kind of getting everyone behind him and kind of with that gritty mentality of just going out there and playing ball.
Thank you, Joe.
Marlon, what happened on the last two plays, on 3rd down and 4th down, that was different? You used the word gashing earlier. I mean, Delaware was gashing you 5, 6, 7 yards on every carry, and then like a brick wall, you stop them on 3rd and 4th down when you had to. What happened there?
You know, it was just when we were calling our timeouts, using our last timeouts, and having that time before each play, and just really, we all looked each other in the eye on the defense. We were like, we have to get a stop right here. If not, basically the game's over. So we really just, looked each other in the eye, and we said we need to bow up right here. We need to make a play. If we don't make a play, this game's over. And I think we just answered the call, and we really just stepped up as a defense.
How much fresher did you feel, maybe, having not played the previous 2 weeks, or was there some rust? Obviously, it didn't look like rust by the way you played, but how different did you feel having not played the previous 2?
I definitely felt a lot more refreshed, not playing in 2 weeks. It was definitely even, the practice, the first practice that I had, like, I felt really good. And then, but, after practice, even though, like, I had to go to the cold tub because I haven't got hit in a while, so I got a couple extra bruises and whatnot. But, during the game, it felt good, as well as going into a stand-up. I haven't done a stand-up before during my time here. That felt good as well. But, yeah, felt pretty good.
You guys, the way you've won games and so many close games this year, how does that affect the mood on the sideline throughout an entire game, even maybe when things aren't going so well, to know that you guys have come through it, especially 5 straight times now?
Kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier, a little bit of just trust, and like this team is just playing with so much confidence. Like we were down by 1 and they were just taking time off the clock, and to be honest, the whole time, like we were sitting with the offensive line, we weren't really worried. Like we knew the defense was going to do what they had to do, and even like we were thinking that okay, they go down, score a field goal, no matter the time. Like we trust Reese, we trust Coach Kosh. Like just a matter of confidence. Of like we knew we were going to do what we had to do, and honestly had confidence that the defense was going to do exactly what they did and get us the ball back.
Do either of you know anybody on their team?
On William and Mary?
Yeah.
Not really personally, but one of their defensive ends, number 9, I think his name's Carl. He's been here just as long as I have, if not longer. So we've kind of, past 5 years, gone against each other every time. So we kind of got like a little bit of a, back and forth whenever we're out on the field. But as for like personal friends, no, sir.
Can you share any of that conversation?
Not really. Some of it's not too good for this.
Questions on Zoom?
Joe, you mentioned the trust that you guys have in Reese and Coach Kosh. What's going through your mind when you hear that 4th and 4 call that comes in from the sideline on Saturday against Delaware?
So I'm not even gonna lie to you. I didn't realize it was 4th down. I just knew we were kind of moving the ball and knew it was kind of coming down close. And then I just remember blocking, and then for whatever reason, the guy I was blocking, my defensive end, dropped into coverage. So I was just kind of standing there more or less, and I just see Jerry Garcia come wide open, and just as soon as he caught it, started sprinting down the field, and was just, we're getting ready to win this. Here we go, boys.
And then, Marlon, what was your vantage point from the sideline on that 4th and 4 play? Is that ball's in midair, or what are you thinking?
I mean, the whole entire defense was tuned in, and the whole sideline as well, and we were just like super ecstatic. There was some people jumping, almost going onto the field and and everything. Like everybody was just going crazy on the sideline, and I mean, you could even see the reaction from Reese after the play. Like he was turned at the sideline. He was really trying to get us hyped up, and he was just really ecstatic. So I think that just carried throughout the whole team.
And then regarding William & Mary's offense, is that a challenge? When a team is going to run the ball about 70% of the time, Is that a challenge that the defense really relishes? Just that, their physical offense against your physical defense? I mean, you guys lead the CAA in rushing defense. They lead the CAA in rushing offense.
Yeah, that definitely, makes the whole defense, we're at attention for that. We definitely know that we have to step it up. It's a front seven against their front seven is what it really is going to come down to during the game. So we definitely, we know where we're at. We're, like you said, the number one rushing defense in the conference. And so we don't think that, no matter what offense we're going against, that they're going to be able to come into our house especially and then run the ball down our throat. We just really don't expect that, and we're going to go out there and we're going to be as physical as we can because whoever is more physical is basically the team that's going to win that type of battle.
Thank you.
Did you know it was fourth down?
Yes, we do. Yeah,
at least one of you did.
Actually, I got a question for each of you guys. Which do you guys like better, making a home stadium go crazy or making a visiting stadium go silent?
Dang, that's so.
Honestly, both of them have their benefits. Obviously, it's great to be at home and having a big play and just hearing the whole place cheering you on and just pumping you up. But then, especially in a game like Delaware where it was a really full stadium and it was getting real loud at points, it was real nice to just all of a sudden make a huge play and just no one in there was saying anything.
I might go with the silence. Yeah.
Kyle?
Yeah, kind of in vain, last year's Capital Cup, you guys go into Zabel, they haven't got a chance to make the playoff. You guys get that kind of really dramatic win. What was that game like? And did it sort of carry over into the offseason to lead you to this point now where you are, playing for a conference championship in the playoffs and everything?
No, yeah, that was a crazy game. Honestly, we kind of felt on offense, at least on the offensive line, we were dominating most of the game. So we were feeling confident the whole time, even though it was a real close game. And then winning that game definitely gave us a lot of confidence going into the offseason because obviously we didn't have the best season last year, but we ended it on a pretty high note against a couple really good CAA teams. And so when we came in this offseason and then everyone was putting in work, we got a few additions to the team that were obviously very helpful in Coach Kosh, Reese, Jake, Nick DeGennaro. So we already had a pretty good bout of confidence kind of to end the season, and then it just got even more, and it's shown through this season.
And something Coach had said on Monday was that looking at the tape, he felt like William & Mary was the most physical opponent that you guys were going to see all season. What do you guys kind of see in terms of their physicality and what they bring? I know, Joe, like you mentioned, Carl Fowler and that sort of thing. What do you kind of anticipate from them as far as that physicality goes?
Yeah, every year we've played them, they're definitely a physical team. It's going to be a battle. They're all pretty strong guys. They're going to play with an edge, and then it's William & Mary Richmond. It's the Capital Cup, so there's just even that much more added tension to it. As physical as they are, I think we got a pretty dang physical offense. So it's going to be a bruiser for sure.
Is time of possession the key stat to watch this weekend? I read a quote from one of the William & Mary offensive linemen where they said, we just pound people into submission. We keep running, even if it's the same play, we just keep running, we keep running, and eventually the defense folds. Is time of possession the key? I mean, you've got to get on the field, get 3 downs, and get off, right?
Yes, sir. I think, you don't want to take that many snaps as a defense on the field. After time, you will get worn out. But I mean, our defense isn't one that's going to quit no matter what. I mean, we played 83 snaps last game, and obviously we got those two stops on the last 2 plays of the game. So no matter how long we're going to be on the field as a defense, they're not going to really wear us down, and we're not going to give up or anything like that. But the goal is to not be on the field that much and really get 3 and outs and really stop their run game.